Hey guys, welcome. This is Brad Krantz. Thanks for joining me here. Thanks for joining me on Monday Morning Leadership. I have a special guest today. I am bringing on Justin Feldman from the Wealthy Body Academy. So he's going to provide some perspectives on health. So Justin, welcome. Thanks so much for joining me here this morning for Monday Morning Leadership. I'm so glad to have you on.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really pumped to be on here, and I appreciate, giving me this opportunity to talk to your audience.
It's all about adding value and giving back. I really believe in that. Justin's in the process of moving from Florida up to Colorado here. So he's kind of in transit. I'm here in Seattle, Washington. So yeah, thanks so much for joining me here. I appreciate it.
Totally.
We just made connection on Facebook, which is kind of cool. I keep telling people I'm amazed about what you can do on social media, just the connections, the people that you can find, and just, try to develop, I guess, synergistic relationships and that.
Totally. It can be used for harm, but there's definitely a lot of good that can come out of it. I've made some of my best relationships through social media. So one of my mentors, Greg Valentine, always says, it's not social media, it's business media, as long as you see it that way.
Me and you, we're on the same page, because I what always kind of interests me, I'm going to do a little thing, my Brad 60 Seconds of Wisdom Day on Facebook, and all this is going to be about social media, because I hear so many people like, I'm done with social media. And I'm like, okay, it's a business tool for me, and it is for you.
Right.
So we have totally different perspectives on it. Again, if you use it in the right way, it's just like money. Money's not bad or good. It's how it gets used. As the scripture says, money's the root of all kinds of evil. Money's not bad, but if you're a bad person using it bad. So anyway, that's kind of interesting.
It'll enhance it. Totally.
I know. So Justin, just want to find out a little bit, share a little bit about yourself, some of your background, maybe your passions, your goals. You're kind of in the health arena, so I'm kind of calling this a perspectives on health, and you're the man on this. So
awesome. Yes, I appreciate that. So I know, like, one thing you want to talk about is leadership, and I guess it all comes back to my backstory, which got me into health was kind of a lack of leadership in my own life. I as a young age, I went through a lot of severe health conditions. I'm grateful for them because they kind of set me up to where I am now. I had a severe lower back problem. I had to wear this like metal brace up until the age of 23. I had, all kinds of different, I was suffering from migraines and just different medical conditions. I was born with like bilateral club feet. So my feet were like sideways when I was born. They had to, snap them and put them back into place. So all these little things kind of added up, and I'm super grateful for them, because they kind of gave me these challenges, these failures, if you will, that kind of led me down the path I am now. And really, I decided to really embark on this health journey when I kind of came to the realization that, not to say that, all doctors are bad, but from the age of, in high school, 15, 16 years old, I was prescribed Vicodin and painkillers and all these meds that weren't serving me. I was going through the back problem I just talked about, and nothing was helping. And it wasn't until I decided to kind of take leadership of myself and do my own program and start investing in my health. That was when things started really shifting for me. And I went to school for exercise science and really found that passion for where I am now. So yeah, that's kind of a little bit about my background, and I could kind of go on forever, but that's kind of a little bit about me.
Well, I appreciate that, Justin. Some of the things you said there, I really relate to, because I've been in, I was diagnosed with stage 4 prostate cancer back in 2018. Everything's going pretty good then. But what I realized was, medical science, and thank goodness for them, because I had a catheter in for 9 months, which is not fun. Trust me.
No.
But they can only take you so far. But my oncologist didn't get, why are you taking all these supplements? Like, he thought I was crazy. It's like, well, because I want to get my body healthy. And going on what you said, and I think you're going to say, is I think, it's great to have the medical science that we have today, but they're really there to really treat the symptoms, not deal with what's causing, they mask it with drugs. But I really believe that somebody has cancer, that I've, looked at my diet, you have to take personal responsibility for your own health at some level. Right.
Exactly. One of the guys I follow a lot, Christopher Walker, he has his whole company is based on helping, men and women really optimize their hormones. And one of the things he talks about is, the key, while the medical system, I could, kind of talk bad about a lot of the levels of it. They do a lot of good, But the fact of the matter is we must prevent that ourselves and kind of learn. There's so much, and this is what I talk about my clients. I work with a lot of entrepreneurs. There's so much information out there. We have an abundance of information, but there's a scarcity of action, right? People it's very tough for people to actually, take that leadership of their self and take action on. So that is the main thing is with your health, there isn't much you can control in this world, but when it comes to your health, you can control a lot of that. It's taking those little steps to better yourself. It will have, will save you money, save you time, and we can kind of dive a little bit more into that. But yeah, I'm super passionate about that for sure.
So, especially as you get older, because when I realized, I thought I was pretty healthy, but all of a sudden this thing hits and there's certain things that are outside of your control. So it's like, okay, what do you do? Okay, my doctor's going to get me on this, and this, which, by the way, all the drugs you're on, there are side effects that I'm dealing with with the drugs. And I wanted to minimize that because they want to get you on more. And it's like, no, thanks. I work with a clinical nutritionist, but they want to get you on more. And then you have more and more side effects. And you're just like on this like treadmill that it never ends. Right.
Exactly. And that's the, that's the scary part about it is, you can, when I was, an example of this is this is what got me into working with entrepreneurs. When I was going through my journey I was in the email marketing realm for a while, and I was doing really well financially. I was working with some 8 figure business owners, but I was working like crazy. I would wake up in the morning, at 7 a.m. or 6 a.m., grab my laptop from bed sometimes and just start working all day. And it resulted in like these terrible migraines. And I didn't know what was going on. And then I went to see a doctor, and then I have my background in health, and, I'm super passionate about this stuff, but, business came first for me. And I went to go see a neurologist, and she, within 30 minutes, was like, there's nothing we can do. It's genetics. Here's some medication you could take. And I was like, right. Exactly. So I think that, while the medication works when the migraines, I don't take it anymore, but when I did take it, it did help to get rid of it sometimes, but it didn't solve like what was causing it. What was the root issue of that?
Of it. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's where I think a lot of people are kind of taking a back seat, and they're just kind of like, the debate yesterday, they're talking about all these, like wearing the mask and all this medical stuff, but they didn't really mention health and, the food system and the food supply and all that stuff. So
building up your immunity system is almost absent from this discussion. Nobody's talking about it, but it's like my chiropractor, we talk about, he goes, build your immunity system up. And it's like, absolutely, but nobody's talking about that.
Right.
If you get your immunity system up, then you shouldn't deal with it. So yeah, we're kind of on the right page there. You may have already answered this, but kind of what drew you to your business? You had some health challenges.
Sure.
Was that kind of the driver that you wanted to say, hey, I went through this, I want to be able to help other people deal with their situations?
Sure. So that's a great question. So I knew from an early age, I didn't want to do, a normal desk job. I didn't want to, just, go that normal route. And then when I went through when I went through the back injury through high school, when I overcame it, I went through my first program and started really learning about the body anatomy. I was like, this is interesting. It's cool how you can, I talked to a lot of entrepreneurs who deal with back pain. It's really amazing where if you can learn how to increase your posture and get more mobility and have a lower inflammation diet and all these different things, you can overcome all that stuff. So for me, I decided I want to go to school for exercise science. I kind of wanted to go the physical therapy route and all these different routes. And then I just realized I just really love working with people in person and optimizing. So I got into personal training for a bit. And then, like I was saying before, to be very transparent, I went to the online world to work with people online once I felt like I hit a wall. But my business failed. I lost all my money, and that's why I got into the email marketing world, because I just didn't really know who I wanted to work with and what my mission was. And that's when I had to take a step back, learn some skills. And that's when I dove back in to work with entrepreneurs, started my company, Wealthy Body, was when I realized for myself, I was so passionate about growth and becoming better. But business was like, and money and working was like my number one thing. And it was affecting me. I lost some really big clients. My health was going down the drain, and I just wasn't. I knew that someone who knows this stuff was performing at suboptimal levels, and that's when I realized, like, I need to fix myself then I fixed myself. I was like, there's so many other people that I know and I've talked to who are dealing with the same issues.
Yeah.
So the reason why I created Wealthy Body is because I believe that when you take control of your health, you're going to build wealth in all areas of your life. When you start taking care of those little things, your nutrition, your diet, your movement, your sleep, your stress levels, all those different elements, for people like you and me who are entrepreneurs and growth minded, we're going to make the biggest impact on the world. But in order to make that impact, we must, impact ourselves first and lead ourselves first. I always say, you must lead by example. Let your body lead the way, because that's a really good, it's the one thing you can control. That's really why I started my company, is because it allows you to, people to kind of have that foundation of health to use in other areas of their life.
Yeah. It's interesting because you were talking about stress, and that was one of the things, because my previous job was in outside sales, and I literally drove over just about all Western Washington. I was went through 3 cars in 12 years.
Wow.
And one of the first things my nature path talked about was you need to reduce stress.
Sure.
I don't know if you've been how traffic is in Florida, but in Seattle, it's you're like in a parking lot most of the time. So I thought, reducing stress, Seattle traffic, that's not going to work. So honestly, one of the best things I did, my wife and I did, was leave our jobs. And it's been a huge blessing. It's been awesome. But again, reducing stress. I was in an environment that I would always have that stress.
Sure.
And that's not good.
Yeah. And I see, I refer to entrepreneurs like that's who I work with, higher performing people. I see people like us who are like almost like modern day hunters and gatherers. But we look back to like our ancestors, and they were, I wasn't alive during that time, but I can make assumptions, and based off the literature, they would wake up, they would go hunt for animals or gather food, and then they'd come back and they would eat. But they had an acute stress in the morning where or whatever time they were hunting, where an animal could attack them or take their life. So they had to be alert, which causes some stress. It's good stress. But now, modern day society, we're always hunting literally 12 hours a day. And there are detrimental effects that come from that. So that's, like you said, stress is huge. And if we don't recognize that, you see so many entrepreneurs like Gary Vaynerchuk, which I love him, but it's like this grind mentality all the time. You are going to be most creative. You have in your most creative state, you're in your alpha state. It's called alpha waves that go through your brain when you are not stressed, when you are calm. The more stressed you are, the more foggy your brain is, less it's going to work, and the less things you're going to get done. So yeah, stress is huge.
Yeah. So reducing stress is huge, but in America, it seems like that's almost an oxymoron.
Yes. Yes.
Working or trying to seek success, stress, or almost, but there are ways to do it, but obviously optimizing your body health. And I'll attest to that. I'm 60 years old. I say, okay, some people say you don't look that old. They say good.
Yeah, exactly.
We're all getting older, right? There's nothing we can do about it. But how do you help your body stay as healthy as you can? Because a lot of people, it just kind of starts to slide off. So Justin, what lessons have you learned, I guess positive or negative, from running the type of business that you do? We all learn stuff from stuff we do. And we've all been through the failure realm. Congratulations. Welcome to being an entrepreneur.
Yeah. I can name a few real quick.
Yeah.
Well, I'll first say from a health perspective, for myself, I've learned that like balance is, I always used to say, like when I was younger, I know I'm still young, but when I got into the entrepreneurial world around 23 or so, I always was like grind. So from a personal level, I've realized how important having that balance is, and respecting your time. Yeah. I would say some of my biggest lessons, is failure is key. I think there's a quote that's right here by Winston Churchill. It says, "Success is the ability to go from failure to failure with no loss of enthusiasm."
Yeah.
And so that was one of my biggest takeaways is we're going to fail. I'm going to fail. I'm still failing every single day. So that's really one of the biggest takeaways is that, the other takeaway is that, the realization that what I'm doing right now isn't so much on the now. It's a future mission, if that makes sense. So like when I started the entrepreneurial world, it was for the freedom. It was from like the freedom of I want to do what I want, when I want, with who I want. But it was kind of like the present moment. I wanted it immediately. But the more I got into this, the more I learned is like the more people I help, the more I grow. It's just the future. It's the future that fuels me. It's like what can I do in the next 5, 10, 15 years?
Yeah.
So that's been some of my biggest, and then I guess some more like strategic ones that I found is building a team is really important. That's one of the things that, you know, when I was living in Asia for a bit, one of my friends, Dan Phillip, he runs you know, like he has like 27 brands in e-commerce, and he opened my eyes to like, he's crushing in the e-commerce world. And I walked into his office, I met him on the first day I landed, and I saw like hundreds of employees and workers around his office, and it made me realize like, you know, we can't do this alone. So that's one of the things that I'm currently working on is you know, having an awesome team and growing, because doing this on our own, it goes back to the health perspective of like, you can't, like, you're just going to burn out. So that's burnout's been key. One of the biggest things I've learned for sure.
Yeah, cool. I think I like the analogy, you know, if what you just said brings to mind, you know, if you see a turtle sitting on a fence, he didn't get there by himself. Right.
Right.
I think it's a myth to say, you know, self-made or I did it all myself. No, you didn't. Nope. I don't think anybody's that smart. And like you said, you can't work that hard and long to do it. You need to have a team. So that, I think that's awesome. I appreciate those perspectives. Those are awesome.
Sure.
Hey, my other thing I want to talk about, and I just finished the book, Simon Sinek, Start With Why. Talk about your why. You said you read that in one day, man. You must be like a speed reader, because I read a number of different books, but I think I started this thing in the summer. I just finished it this week. Really got me to thinking, kind of the juices running in my mind. But maybe talk about that real quick and about your why.
Sure. I love that book. So I actually didn't read it. I listened to it. So I cheated a little bit. I had it like 2x speed. I was walking, and it was firing me up.
You cheated on it then. Okay.
I cheated a bit. I mean, I guess I listened to it. So, but yeah, it takes more time to sit down and read. So yeah, I guess I cheated. But yeah, it's an amazing book. And I think that it made me really, one of the analogies he talks about is how like Apple, you know, I'm staring at an Apple computer right now. You know, one of their whys is, or the reason why they're so successful is they have a bigger purpose. They're like, you can compare, like there's all these different PCs that are maybe technologically superior, but a Mac is to make it's user friendly. It's more about the user experience. So that's their why. So for me, I would say my why is like I said earlier, is I believe that we can create wealth through health. I think that it's kind of a different perspective on things, but my why is it's really to raise consciousness. I think that right now there's so many issues that need to be that are very fixable with, especially I talk to entrepreneurs because I believe that they are the leaders of this world. And if they can start making shifts in their body and their health, then that will impact their family members. It will impact their employees. It'll impact their clients. It'll just have a trickle down effect. So my why is to show you know, high performers, you know, you can operate at a high level and still, you know, and still live the life that you want. But it really comes down to building that discipline in that specific area that you can't control. So I guess I'm kind of going back and forth. My why is to raise consciousness through high performers and really make a massive impact in in their health, so that way they can build wealth and you know, and you know, create leaders all throughout the world.
Right. Awesome. Thanks for sharing on that.
Yeah.
Hey, the other thing I noticed, you're part of the Scaling a 6 to 7 figure business online group.
Sure.
I just picked up, well, last 2 weeks, I got the Nuclear Effect by Scott Oldford. I'm blown away because it's a virtual blueprint for what we're already doing in our business, which tells me, one, we're not the only crazy people out there. Other people get it, but I say that kind of half kidding. That somebody else, I'm like, everything he's talking about, said we're already doing this. But what's your motivation on that? Because I love people that are connecting, that really understand what's going on in the online and the digital world, because so many people are still blind to it, Justin. I'm just amazed at people that don't get it.
Sure. So you mean, so the question is, you know, why am I in the group, or what exactly?
Yeah, I'm just kind of curious what drew you to that group. What's your, what are you seeing as far as where you think you can go with your business that drew you into the group?
So one of my mentors, Jason Capital, he once told me that having a coach isn't optional, it's mandatory. And I say that I'm saying that because community and accountability and just being around like-minded people, in my opinion, is the number one most important thing you can do ever.
Yeah.
Like right now I'm visiting my client Mike. He owns Critical Bench. He's got a multi 7-figure business, and it's being here, and the energy is amazing. And I think that just being around people like that, I think I'm in 15 plus groups. That group, I love that group. But I think that the biggest part that I found is, Charlie Munger says, "Show me your friends, I'll show you your future." Having people around you that are going to, raise your level, raise your standards in yourself to the next level. Another quote, Tony Robbins, he says, "In order to make a massive transformation, you must raise the standards at which you operate." And I truly believe that just being around other like-minded people, being around people that are, even if they're not at 6 figures or if they're at 9 figures, just being around people who are on that mission, on that path. If you spend time with someone who's, doesn't care about making money and doesn't care about self-betterment, doesn't, like, nothing against that person, but that's just not where I'm sure you or me want to be around. So that's the biggest thing for me is just, I make new connections every single day through groups and through Facebook and through just talking to people. And I think that is, that's the spice of life. And I think right now we're people are using social media for the wrong things, like we were talking about before. It's very easy to get sucked up on there and just kind of, scroll through and see photos and you're subconsciously judging people's lives and feeling bad about your life. And that's the negative side, but there is a positive side. You can, I use it for business a lot of times, and you can use it to connect with people who are going to, you never know who you're going to meet, and you can just connect to people who are going to, bring you up and kind of, open your mind to new opportunities.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think what you're saying is raising the bar. I found I need to get around other people. So I love meeting new people like you. Cause I said, we're kind of in the same battle, right? It's
totally,
Gary Vaynerchuk said, being an entrepreneur is lonely. It is, especially when you're with the COVID-19 stuff. I've been stuck at home, not like stuck, but more so by choice. But yeah, just raising the bar and getting around people that think bigger, that have bigger vision. And I've really taken that mantra on for myself is that, we definitely can and will scale our business to 7-figure. But there's so many people out there that don't get it. I understand it, but we want to raise the bar and get around people that are moving ahead and getting out there. So that's awesome. Hey, Justin, I watched your video last week on freedom, and you said something in there that really stuck out. I thought that was a really good video, really very real, relatable. But you said the only path to freedom is discipline. Talk about that a little bit.
So that was an inspiration by Jocko Willink. He's a former Navy SEAL. He has tons of motivational videos on YouTube. And I made that video because I truly believe that, people want freedom in their life. Like that I've talked to, hundreds and hundreds of entrepreneurs now, and just people in general who are looking to better themselves. And like, that is the ultimate goal. Like, that's the reason we're alive on this planet right now is we were born to enjoy life, to have the freedom of that, the gifts that life offers us, the food, the water, the shelter, the look at the sky, the trees, the ocean, all these different things. Like, that is the freedom we're seeking, where we just want, and on an internal level, the freedom to know that we're okay, that we're going to live and to thrive. But with that said, there comes a lot of comfort that people will get comfortable. I get comfortable many times as well. So I'm always reminding myself of this. I'm not perfect at all when I say this. But with comfort, in my opinion, comes a lack of growth. When you're always comfortable, it becomes you get slothiness or laziness, or you just will kind of, it's easy to forget the purpose at which you're operating at. And I talk with my clients a lot about, really, like you just talked about, Brad, about your why, about asking me about my why, and the why is so important. But sometimes the why isn't enough, right? You wake up in the morning, I always tell my clients when they first join my program, like, whether it's 90 days or 1 year, whatever, depending how long they're going to work with me, I tell them, like, on day one, you're fired up, you're hot at the start, you're ready to go. But I'm going to be completely honest with you, 3-4 weeks from now, you're going to feel like crap. You're not going to want to get up. You're not going to want to work out. You're not going to want to eat right. Like, we got to be real about this. And that's when discipline comes in, because if you have a higher vision or a deeper why that you want to accomplish, that's great. But a lot of times you forget that. So discipline is the path to freedom, because it's really simple. Like if you're starting a race, and you want to finish the race, you have to run the entire way to get there. What most people are doing is when it comes to lack of discipline, is they start the race, they know where the finish line is, but they start and then they get, their mind stops them or whatever, or there's distractions or there's obstacles,
Right.
and it becomes so hard to get to the finish line.
Yeah.
So discipline is just a matter of having non-negotiables that are going to serve you and ultimately serve others, because I believe, like, I like the analogy of like when you're on an airplane, they always say when you're sitting right before you take off, they have that little video, and the flight attendants will bring up the oxygen mask, and they say,
Right.
you know, if the plane starts crashing, you know, put your oxygen mask on before you help anybody else.
Yeah.
So that, relating back to discipline, when you have discipline in certain areas of your life, while it feels like you're not free, that will ultimately lead you up for more freedom, the freedom that you actually are seeking, not like the freedom of going out for drinks or whatever or whatever your vice is. It's for a lot of people, the vice is eating, you know, crappy food. Other people, it's just working all the time. Yeah. That's not healthy either. Even if you feel like it's taking you to the next level, the discipline to go to sleep at a certain time or wake up at a certain time, the discipline to work out, the discipline to get your deep work in and get your business stuff in at a certain time, not throughout the day where you're all sporadic and chaotic, because really discipline leads to more control. Yep. Right. That's what we're seeking. We're seeking control. We're seeking the ability to control and have freedom. Yes. But when we don't have that, things get chaotic. And when things are chaotic, that's not freedom at all. That's just, you know, running around like a chicken with your head cut off.
Yep, I know.
So that's when I say freedom, that's pretty much, or discipline. That's what I mean, is the discipline leads to freedom because you are doing the things that need to get done to get you to your ultimate goal. Yeah. Hopefully that makes sense.
That does. That's a great explanation. Thanks for expanding on that.
Of course.
Hey, before we wrap up here, did you have any last words, encouragement, any last thing you want to throw in there?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I could rant on this for forever, but okay. I mean, for whoever's listening right now, we're going through a health pandemic right now. You know, the elections are about to wrap up. We've got some big shifts going on. And the one thing I always say, and I mentioned this earlier, is you cannot control much. We cannot control the future of this economy. We cannot control, you can vote, but you can't control the outcome. Right. You can't control, if it's raining outside or it's sunny. The one thing you can't control is your ability to like we said earlier, be disciplined and take care of your body. Like one of the things I cannot stress enough, and I'm just so passionate about this, is we're only born with one body. It's like it's literally our vessel. It's like the biggest, like this is the only thing that we 100% have, not the clothes, not the glasses, that the headset. Like our body is the thing. And without your body, you're not going to be able to run your business. You're not going to be able to be there for your family, your kids, and ultimately show up at your best. Your body is your number one asset. So that's kind of the last thing I want to say is if you're watching this right now and you're pushing off your health because you're worried about making more money or being there for your family, just recognize that there is, the biggest problem when it comes to making time for yourself is a lack of strategy. As long as you have the right strategy, you can 100% transform your body, feel amazing, which will in turn help with your business and your life. So I guess what I love to say is you got this. All it takes is just kind of making that decision. I'm going to make a shift. And then from there, being disciplined, and then you can reap the rewards of freedom. So yeah, I guess that's what I want to say.
Awesome, Justin. Thank you so much. Hey guys, Justin Feldman, the Wealthy Body Academy. I'll leave his contact information on the thumbnail for this. So please reach out to him with any questions you've got. And guys, have an awesome Monday. All right. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.